Guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jenny Coder. If you guys are new here, I pretty much help people master data structures and algorithms, right? So that they can land their dream job. So today we have a pretty interesting topic. We'll be going over the Java array list. So this is a practice problem and on HackerRank. So I guess should probably check that out after. So let me explain that to you guys real quick. So it says sometimes it's better to use dynamic size arrays, right? So Java array lists can provide you this feature, right? Okay, it's dynamic, guys, right? Try to solve this problem using array list, right? So it says we're given n lines, right? And each line there are 0, right, or more integers. You need to answer a few queries where you need to tell the number located at the y position of the x position, right? Take your input from system.in, right? So it says input format, right? The first line as an integer n, right? So we're given integer n, right? The first line, right? And he says, right, in each of the next n lines, right? The next, so we given integer n, right? The first is integer n, right? Which says right here, right? And then the next 5 lines, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Next 5 lines, right? There will be integer d, right? Denoting the number of integers on that line, right? And then there will be d space separated integers, right? Space separated integers. So pretty much what they're saying, guys. So so we got n, right? N equals 5, right? Next 5 lines, which is those lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It says in the next 5 lines there will be integer d, right? Which is this integer, right? The first integer of each line of the next 5 lines, right? 5, 1, 4, 0, 3, right? Those numbers are pretty much going to tell us how many numbers are on that particular line, guys. So that's pretty much what they're saying right there. So we're given a 5, which means there should be 5 numbers on that line, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It sees 1, which means there's only one number on that line, right? It sees 4, there's 4 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 0 right here, right? On the 4th line, that means there are no numbers for that line, right? Right? You guys get it, right? So pretty much they're saying there. Instead, in the next line, right, there will be integer q, which is this number, right? Then, so after we process the 5 lines, right, there will be integer q, right, which is 5, right? In this case, right, and then it says it would denote like the number of queries, right? So there would be a couple of queries, right? So there's gonna be 5 queries as well, right? And he says that each query will consist of 2 integer x and y, right? So there will be 2 integers, right, for each query. So there's going to be 5 queries for each query. There's going to be 2 integers, right? An x and a y, right? Right. And yeah, so we're giving some constraint, right? So say n will be, 1 over 2, 20,000, right? So a bunch of stuff, right? So it says each number will fit in assign integer, so it'll be integer. That's good. So total number of integer n lines will not cross 10 to the power 5, right? So it says in output format, right? In each line, output the number located at the y position of the x line, right? If there are no such positions, just print error. Okay. Interesting. So pretty much, guys, we're giving a couple examples, right? So this example is pretty good. So you can see that this is the representation of the input that we're given, right? So our job, right, pretty much we're gonna have to store it and sort in a pretty much in a dynamic 2D array, right? So pretty much, guys, we're gonna store them in an array list, right? So pretty much gonna be a 2D array list, guys. So to efficiently store, right, because we could have, what I'm saying, that's why it's very good. So if we were using a simple array, right, we would need to know the size of the input and know how many elements to store in the input, right? But for this one, it's dynamic. So the rows, right, or, what I'm saying, they grow and it grows as you need them pretty much, right? So that's what makes it very, very beneficial to use array list, guys. So it's very flexible and what you can do with it, right? Same. So yeah, so this is the list of queries, right? So 1, 3 represents the first line, right, which is this one, right, line 1, right, row column 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, right? So you can see that's how we get them, guys. So pretty much, yeah. So first row third of three. I'm saying then 3, 4 represents the third row, right? And the fourth column, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you can see, yeah, so the array list is gonna pretty much help us in taking care of that, guys. So we're pretty good. So let's go ahead and start writing the code and see if we can get there, guys. So I pretty much started off. So pretty much, guys, this pretty much already started, right? So we're gonna be reading all of the input, right, from the system at that end, right? So they pretty much told us to use that, right? Because they told us that right here. Take your input from the system that end, right? So yeah, so we use the scanner to read that, right? So after we read those numbers, guys, we're gonna pretty much need to allocate memory, right? So we're gonna need memory to store all the data that we're gonna get, right? So that when we are in the query part, right, we can get that, right? So array list, right? Array list, okay? So pretty much I have a list, array list of array list, right? Which, so the type will be integer, right? Because no, we're storing integers, guys. So yeah. So this is a list, right? Of list, right? Yeah. So list, right? And then yeah, and then we have a new array list, right? We allocate memory for it, right? Instance, right? And then now what we're going to do, guys, we're pretty much going to, so he says the first line, right? So we need to know how many numbers we're going to store, right? And how many lines of numbers, right? So they told us that the first line, right, has an integer n, right? Which pretty much going to tell us the number, that the next 5 lines or the next n lines are gonna pretty much, yeah, so 5s in this case, right, pretty much tell us there's gonna be 5 lines, right? 5 lines that we're gonna pretty much have to store for 5 rows, right? If you think about it that way, right? Yeah, so the next, yeah, so we need to make sure that we get that, right? So scanner that next n, right? So we get that number, right? So we get 5, right? So we're gonna process the next 5 lines. That's pretty much what I'm saying. We're gonna process the next 5 lines, guys. All right, because that's what it tells us, right? So we get the next 5 lines. So and I is equal to 0, I is less than n, right? 5, I plus plus, right? So simple loop, right? We're looping through, right? I'm saying. So the next thing that we're gonna do, guys, is pretty much we're gonna, so now we're gonna take care of that row, right? So we need to have some kind of memory, right? So array list integer, right? So it's gonna be a list of integers, right? So let's call it row, right? And pretty much you could call this whatever you want, right? You could call it rows, right? Let's make it descriptive. Pretty much on this matrix, this array list, right? 2D array list is gonna pretty much hold all the rows pretty for us, right? So for this row, so for every line, right, pretty much gonna represent a row, right? That's pretty much what it's gonna do, right? So after we do that, guys, so we get that, right? So we need to, so it says D, right? The D for it says there in the next n line there will be integer D, right? That denotes the number of integers, right? So pretty much in every line, right, there's going to be this first number that's going to tell us how many numbers are in that particular row. So that's what I'm doing right there. So I'm getting the first number, which is, so we did next n, right? We get n, right, which is get this number. Right? So now we need to get that number, right? So we're going to process, so we need to know how many numbers are in that line, right? So we could add all those numbers to all those numbers in that row, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're doing right there. So we do a scanner, that next n, right? All right, so we get that, and then yeah, so now we can control our loop, right? So we add all the numbers in there, right? So pretty easy, guys. So ni, not ni, and 0, j is less than the d, right? J plus plus, right? So for the first case, right, it's equal to 5. So we're gonna get 5 numbers, guys. We're gonna add those numbers to the, I'm saying. So pretty much what we're gonna do int number, right? Int num is gonna be scanner that next int, right, to get that next number, right? And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna add that number to it. right? So we add all those numbers for that line, right? And then after we add all those numbers, right, we're pretty much gonna add it to our rows, right? Let's keep track of all the rows for us, right? So rows that add, right? We add the row, right? So we add all the rows to it, right? So what's next, guys? The next thing that we're gonna do is gonna be very, very important. So now, so pretty much it processes, I process the first lines down, right? So it processed 5 number, right? And now it goes back up the loop, right? And the next number now, right? Because we process all the numbers, 5 numbers, right? Now the next number is 1, right? So now it's gonna loop up to 1 now, right? So there's gonna be only one number that's gonna be added for the second line, and we add that row, right? Which created right there, right? We add all those numbers that belongs in that particular row, right? We add it in there. Then we add it to the output rows that we have, right? So after we do that, guys, say we do this for every, so we do the same thing for 4, 0, right? 3, right? And then now the next, so after we loop through all those 5 numbers, right? You know what I'm saying? Which is the n as 5, right? So after we loop all the 5 lines, right? We're going to pretty much get the output number, which is 5, right? Which represents the number of queries, right? So it says right there, right? It represents the number of queries, right? So there will be 5 queries, guys. You know, they're gonna ask us a series of questions, right? They're gonna say, yo, tell me the number at 1, 3, right? And we have to tell them that, guys. So yeah, that's exactly what the next thing that we're gonna do right now. So pretty much we do and q. Q is gonna be Skinner, the next int, right? So we get that next number that we talked about. And then what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna loop, right? Do int I equals 0, I is less than q, I plus plus, right? So after we do that, guys, what's the next thing that we could do, right? We're pretty much gonna be getting we're gonna come in pairs, guys, right? So pretty much we do x, gonna be Skinner, that next int, right? Int y, Skinner, that next int, right? And yeah, so we're gonna be doing some stuff, guys. What we try, so we're gonna be throwing some error, you know what I'm saying? Catch, right? Got my Java a little bit exception, right? Yeah, simple try catch. So pretty much, guys, you know, because it tells us, right, you know, if we were given some kind of a query that's not valid, right? Which means that we don't have that we don't have a number at this particular spot, right? Let's say, you know, it says line 4, row 3, right? No, line 4, right? Which is row 4, column 3, right? There are no numbers in the 4th row, right? So that's why we're gonna return error, right? Right? 4, 3, there's nothing there. So we return error. I'm saying this is exactly what we're doing right now, right? All right. So pretty much let's handle the case where it's valid, right? So we're gonna print some stuff, right? All right. Print line, right? So guys, yeah, let's print some stuff, right? We're gonna print. It said we should print the actual number, right? See the actual number. So what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna print it. So we're gonna be it's gonna be rows that get, right? We're gonna get the row, right? So pretty much x represents the row, right? So the row is gonna be x, right? Okay, and then we get the obviously get, right? Get, and then we get the actual column, right, that we want to represent, right? So this is let's say 1, 3, right? This is row 1, right? The first row, and then the third column, right? 1, 2, 3, right? Which is 74. That's why we return 74 right there, right? So yeah, so we get we get the first row, right, which is x, right? And then y tells us the column, right? So yeah, so making sure that you guys understand that, right? So very, very important. Yeah, so so then we do the next thing, right? System that out, that print line, right? So what is it going to print? Error, right? And make sure that I typed it exactly as it is. So error, right? But it's the same. It looks like it's the same already, so it doesn't matter, right? So one important thing that we need to make sure that we get, guys, this is the array list, right? Is zero index, right? So I'm saying zero base. So we have to do -1, right? To do that, right? Because for them, right, they it's one index, right? They're the way that they're doing things, right? Line one, right, represents the first line, right? So for us, line zero is actually our first line, right? And line one is actually our second line. So that's how our arrays are, guys. That's how everything's almost zero index, right? I don't know why they did it like that, but it's not a big problem. We could easily solve that, guys. So seems like we are in pretty good shape, guys. Let's press run code, see if we passed any compile error. So it says, what the heck just happened? Oh yeah, let me see. So we're missing a probably a bracket. All right, let's press run code, see if we good. Awesome, okay, let's press the make code, see if we got all the test cases. Awesome, guy, pass all the test cases, guys. So if you guys liked this video, make sure to give me a like, guys. If you guys are new here, subscribe to the channel because I'll be doing a lot of other videos just like this one. So thanks for watching and see you guys in the next one.